Welcome to the First Responders Podcast, the podcast for first responders, made by first responders. Now, for your host, Brian Miller, a retired first responder with over 25 years of experience.
All right, we are rolling. We're here with Sheriff David Miles from the Suffolk Sheriff's Office. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing well, nice and retired. It's good to see you again.
I'm a little jealous.
Sheriff Miles and I worked together 1,000 years ago with the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office, and he has kindly agreed to sit down with this interview and talk to us and let you ladies and gentlemen know what it's like to be the sheriff of the city of Suffolk. So, real quick, give me a brief rundown of the city itself.
It's a growing city. We've recently ticked over 100,000 citizens. We are a very large city, landmass-wise, 430 square miles.
Largest in the state, correct?
Largest in the state until another city decided to count land underwater, but we won't point in the elbows to say who that is. But for many years, and we were the largest city in the state. And like I said, over 100,000 citizens, 430 square miles, and growing rapidly.
So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my past. One of my first jobs as a first responder was with the Nansemond Suffolk Rescue Squad.
How about that?
And this was before the fire department took over the ambulances.
Mm-hmm.
We had one unit that ran out of here downtown and one at Bennett's Creek. Now imagine running an emergency call from Mineral Springs to Obacy.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm sorry for y'all that don't know Suffolk, but it's 45 minutes.
So it's a long ride.
Yeah, 30, 45 minutes, lights and sirens. So that gives you an idea of the landmass that we're talking about with the city of Suffolk. Tell me a little bit about your department.
We're a small agency. Right now, 28 full-time positions, and then we're supplemented by about 10 part-time deputies, and we have 4 professional staff, 3 full-time, 1 part-time. Our responsibilities here are the courthouse and civil process. The 5th Judicial District, which includes Suffolk, the county of Southampton, which includes the city of Franklin and Southampton, and Isle of Wight County, we are all serviced by a regional jail, which is the Western Tidewater Regional Jail. And recently, the city of Hampton joined the authority, so now Hampton's inmates are also held in Western Tidewater Regional Jail.
So did they close their jail now?
Yes.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Huh. Imagine that. So you guys, you don't have a jail. Are your deputies law enforcement certified?
We have deputies from different backgrounds. Everyone here started someplace else. Just like you mentioned earlier, I started my career in Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office, but in order 2 sheriffs ago, the way they save money was only hiring those who are already certified.
Gotcha.
So here we have deputies from just about every sheriff's office in Hampton Roads. We had someone from Hampton. We don't have anybody from Hampton right now. We have deputies that came to us from the Suffolk Police Department. We have deputies that came from Norfolk Police, and we have a sergeant currently came from the state police. So I think the benefit of hiring those that are certified is that we have such a wealth of experience in different ways of doing business. So we get fresh ideas as we hire new people. So to answer your question, yes, we do have deputies that are law enforcement certified because of their previous employment.
Okay. And the reason that I asked that, I talked to you a little bit about it. A lot of people don't know the difference between a deputy and a police officer. Here in Virginia, and we're a little unique because the big cities have both police officers and sheriffs.
Mm-hmm.
Where you and I came from in Virginia Beach and in Norfolk, the sheriff doesn't do anything but the jail, courthouse, and civil process. The law and the actual police work is left to the police departments.
Mm-hmm.
And can you explain to me a little bit about how that works?
So as you said, Virginia is an odd animal. So there are 41 independent cities in the entire country. 38 of them are in the state of Virginia.
Wow. I didn't know
So
that.
when you consider Hampton Roads, we are called the 7 cities because we are 7 independent cities.
Yep.
So by the code, the police and the sheriff have the same authority when it comes to criminal and traffic enforcement. However, it's the police department. So once a city incorporates, they can choose to fund the police department, and then the police department becomes the primary law enforcement agency, and the chief of police becomes the chief law enforcement officer. In a county, the sheriff does all of the above.
Yes, sir.
So once a city incorporates, a portion of the sheriff's responsibilities is given to the police department, but they can't give them the fullness of the sheriff's responsibilities because there are other civil responsibilities that by the code, the police department not only aren't responsible for, but cannot do.
They can't do, yeah.
So in a city, even though the city is independent, they still have to be served by a sheriff because those other responsibilities by the code can only be done by the sheriff, which includes securing the courthouse, protecting the inmates in the jail there for pretrial confinement, and the service of civil process. And that civil process piece is what the police department and police officers have no idea what that is because they are happy to say, especially in there's some type of property dispute, this is a civil issue, call the sheriff's office.
Yeah, there you go.
So for us, even though we are a small agency, it is a large undertaking satisfying the civil responsibilities in a city that is actually right now the fastest growing city in the state.
Oh, yeah. I remember working for the rescue squad out here in the 90s, and there was next to nothing. And now you've got a full-blown fire department, and this city is blowing up by the day.
Certainly.
So because your department is so small, and you've only got, what'd you say, 25 full-time?
28 full-time.
28 full-time. So do you do any active recruiting?
So no, because all of our full-time positions are filled. We have no full-time vacancies. In the coming budget year, we have 2 new locally funded positions.
You got to be the only law enforcement agency in the country that's not short-handed.
Well, I tell you what, we're the best kept secret.
There you go.
And we've posted and we have an applicant pool, and I'm sure that even in this one applicant pool, we'll fill those 2 positions.
Yeah.
So, and that's without any type of hiring bonus incentives. That's without take-home cars like our police department has.
Okay.
So on paper, we don't look as competitive as other law enforcement agencies because we don't offer those types of incentives. However, we're still fully staffed.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to be said for a smaller department.
Certainly.
You know, a lot of guys, like me, like you came from a bigger department, and I'm sure coming out here, things slowed down quite a bit for you. And there's a lot to be said for that, you know?
Yes. Even though it's a different pace, it's still busy, just busy in a different way.
Yeah.
When you look to your right and your left, you consider roll call for a jail team is larger than our agency.
That's crazy.
So is it smaller? Yes. Is it less busy? In some regards, no, because there's fewer people to carry the load.
Yeah, I got you.
So, and one thing I can say about this agency is the teamwork, because when you consider like one of the things that the sheriff is responsible for by the code is civil commitment transports. That's someone who is civilly committed and has to go to an inpatient facility, and the code requires the sheriff to transport. It says sheriff shall transport, and those are spontaneous. Those are not things you can plan for. And every transport takes 2 deputies. But it's often a Friday afternoon where we'll get a call at 5:00 for someone that has to go 6 hours one way on the opposite side of the state. And then there's 2 that are popping the same phone call, one going Northern Virginia and one going 6 hours away to Catawba. And every week we have 2 deputies on call, but then we need a second team to volunteer.
Yeah.
And the deputies here step up and they shoulder that to make sure that our responsibilities are taken care of.
Wow. So you guys still do transport?
So
just for that, or?
Well, we don't transport the inmates that come from the jail. The jail does that.
Gotcha.
But we do transport our juveniles. Now, where we came from, you and I came from in Virginia Beach, the juvenile detention center was across the street from the courthouse. Here, we were initially a part of Chesapeake Juvenile Services. In Chesapeake, they held juveniles for Suffolk, but that door has now closed. The closest place that holds our juveniles is Williamsburg. Then there's Goochland. Then there's Chesterfield. And then there's Rappahannock.
So if you have to have a juvenile in court, you have to go to Williamsburg to pick them up.
Potentially. So Williamsburg, they do have people that transport their juveniles to court.
I got you.
But if there's inclement weather in their locality, but not here, we have to go get them.
I got you.
But so consider Rappahannock. That's 3 hours one way. If they have a 9 o'clock in the morning hearing, what time do you have to leave for turn time to get that juvenile to court on time?
Yeah.
So it's still a juggle. We did over 20,000 miles in juvenile transports last year.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that's less visible. The citizens don't know that we're doing that, but it's still a large undertaking to make sure the wheels of the criminal justice system can continue to turn safely.
So can you explain, and you're probably the only one that I'll talk to that deals with these regional jails.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a couple of them around here, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one here.
Portsmouth is closed.
Portsmouth is closed. There's one over on the peninsula, right, over in Hampton.
Yes.
So how does that work for Suffolk courts and Western Tidewater Regional Jail? They bring the inmates back and forth?
Yes. So they don't just serve the localities that are part of the jail authority. They also hold federal inmates. So they're transporting to Franklin, they're transporting to Isle of Wight, they're transporting here to Suffolk. They're also transporting to federal court in Norfolk and Newport News. So their transportation team stays very busy.
Yeah,
so
sounds like it.
From our perspective, is they bring them over first thing in the morning, and then as they come in, we search them. We take their restraints off, and then we put them in our cells, and then they go up to court wearing our restraints. They come back down. We take our restraints off, and then they're sitting waiting for the jail to come back. But sometimes it's a long wait because we aren't the only jurisdiction that they have to pick up from.
I got you.
And there's other times where they're moving federal inmates, like sometimes previously there's a hurricane coming to North Carolina.
Yeah.
They had to go pick up inmates from federal prisons in Carolina to bring them here to keep them safe and then take them back. So they stay very busy, and we don't normally take them back to the jail because their transportation team is responsible for doing that. And we still have our own responsibilities with our juvenile transports and other things going on in the building. So it's a lot of moving parts of the courthouse that most folks don't know.
That's why you were talking. That was the exact thought that was in my head, man. There's a lot going on here. It's really deceptive because when you sit down and you say, well, I've got 28 full-time employees, and you're like, well, how hard can it be? But you've probably got more moving parts because you're more dependent on some of these outside agencies than Virginia Beach. I mean, we did a lot of stuff in-house that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me real quick. I know you said you don't really do any recruiting. What about the training? Because I know you said most of your guys are already trained, but we all have, and you remember it well, we used to do 2 days a year of in-service where it was all day, every day?
So in-service is 40 hours every 2 years, and we are we use Portsmouth's academy as our training academy in that regard. And it's a trade-off because many of our deputies have general instructor, so we'll send deputies there to train and to train classes, especially for their academies and such. And then we also use them to train our deputies to keep up our in-service hours. So it is a trade-off. Now I can say this. Since I came here 10 years ago, this agency invested a lot in me as far as training.
Okay.
And we put out opportunities for training to our staff, and we try to make sure, especially supervisors, and even those who may not be formal leaders, giving them opportunities to get leadership training, because we believe in investing in our staff. So not only do we ensure that their DCJS requirements the standards are kept up with, we also invest in giving our deputies opportunities to train. So we aren't part of one of the DCJS academies, and we have been served well by Portsmouth. And the trade-off is not only do we get training there, we help them train.
And when I went through my sheriff's academy 23 years ago, I went through in Chesapeake, and it was a combination. Chesapeake would do it 1 year, Portsmouth would do it 1 year. And we would have, I know in my academy, we had guys from Chesapeake, guys from Portsmouth, the regional jail out here, basically anybody that they could get, because my understanding of it is they charge these other agencies to come take their academy. Mm-hmm. So, when they're trying to pay the bills for these things, they're trying to get anybody involved, which to me was pretty cool because I'm going through the academy with not only people I'll be working with at the time in Chesapeake, but I meet deputies from across the area and across this part of the state. We had guys from the Eastern Shore.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
And then the Portsmouth Academy, even though it's smaller, they still do train jailers and deputies for other jurisdictions because they do come from the Eastern Shore. They have had some from, I don't know if Norfolk, but Norfolk does their own in-house, but the Western Tidewater Regional Jail has sent staff there to be trained.
I got you.
So it's not just in-house for them. It is still far-reaching in that regard, but it's great for networking.
Yeah. And, I think I said something to Bill earlier. This shows, because I was telling Bill, the three of us worked together in Virginia Beach. Mm. You've got a guy here that I worked with when I was in Chesapeake. And then you just recently hired a guy that I went to school with. I went to high school with. Mm. And I'll tell you his name later. But it shows what a small community law enforcement is.
It is.
And, and it's the same thing. I interviewed a guy the other day from Newport News Fire that he and I worked together here in Suffolk when I was with the rescue squad. And it's the same thing, Fire and EMS has its community. We have ours in law enforcement. Fortunately, I'm lucky. I know people in both worlds. Mm. But it's just amazing at how small, and I guess this is where you see it's a result of everybody being so shorthanded. It shows you how few of us there are.
Yes.
I mean, it's incredible. All right, Sheriff, well, I know this is short and sweet, and I appreciate you sitting down with me. I really do. I think this is going to work out this time. Give me one last word on the Suffolk Sheriff's Office.
Well, we serve the best citizens here, and our agency is a reflective of the citizens that we serve. And not like myself, not everybody that works for this agency grew up in this city. Yeah. However, we are all invested in this city nonetheless. We're parents here. We are business owners here. We are connected to the community organizations here. We are invested in this city, and it is something that has served us well in the relationship we have with our citizens. And I am honored to have the opportunity to not only work for and lead an agency, but I'm honored to be a part of this city because it's interesting to see a small city. Even though we're a big city, we're still a small town in many regards, but it is interesting just seeing how the growth is happening.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting time, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Well, and you said it's a big city, but it still has a small town feel. The reverse side of that, and I'm from Chesapeake. We moved there when I was a teenager, and we've watched Chesapeake go from a big city with a small town feel, which it doesn't have that anymore.
No.
And I hate to say it, and it's a good probably 20 years away in Suffolk because it is still a big city, still has a small town feel. You roll through downtown, and it's like being downtown Middle America somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and I hope they hold on to that as long as they can. All right. Well, Sheriff Miles, I appreciate you sitting down with me, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for us. Take care of yourselves, watch your six, and be kind to each other. We'll talk to you guys later.
You have been listening to the First Responders Podcast with your host, Brian Miller. Please tune in for future episodes of this podcast. Our podcast is dedicated to the men and women who serve the public as first responders. Thank you.